Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm Stephanie if you're new here. So we are going to be making another cake today. I have a wedding to go to in 3 more days. And I need to get the cake done because tomorrow I'm going to be taking the cake to the venue area. So I have mainly all of my pieces that I need to get done, or my layers. So I'm going to be doing a 3-tier wedding cake. If you guys saw one of my last cake videos, that was my son's wedding cake, and that one is a 3-tiered cake with 3 cake layers for each layer. I have some in the oven right now, and I only have a little bit. Actually, the timer is gonna go off here. Okay, so that just needs to finish up. I need to let this cool. I'm going to do a crumb coat on it probably later today if I can get these cooled, and then tomorrow I'm going to be frosting everything, and I'm going to be frosting all the cupcakes. So she needed 100 cupcakes. Them are all done already in the fridge. I just need to do just whatever kind of design on top. I will do all of that in another part of this video. I will share all of that with you. With this cake, it's going to be a gluten-free cake. Also with the cupcakes are going to be gluten-free. So I shared what box I'm going to be using for this gluten-free cake. I am going to do the wedding box cake version with this cake just because I need it to be, firmed up for stacking. I also got some gluten-free flour to add to this cake because I can't use normal flour for that. I was able to use everything else in the recipe because it's not a dairy-free cake. It's just a gluten-free cake. The next couple clips is just me baking the cakes, getting them all finished. Like I said, I have the top tier in the oven right now, so that is almost finished. And then the rest is just letting it cool. We are going to, I'll probably put them in the fridge to have just a little chill to them. And then I'll be able to do my crumb coat. I'm going to be doing a different design for this cake than what I did for my son's wedding cake. I also shared one on my community tab of what, I had to make another one for the same family. And that one it's not like a smooth side. One is going to be more of a textured side or frosting the way I'm going to do it. All my buttercream for this video is from Walmart. I ended up just going to make it simple for me. It's gluten-free. I'm able to use it on this cake, and that's what I needed to do. If you guys didn't see my son's wedding cake video, go check it out. I had some problems with frosting and I needed to get it done quick, and I ended up having to make frosting the morning of when I needed to have the cake to my son's wedding. So we're gonna do it easier for this video, and all I did is just buy a big tub at Walmart. So that is what I'm going to be doing for the frosting. I'm not going to be there's no filling to this this recipe or for this cake. It's just going to be straight buttercream. And then when I get to the venue on Saturday, we are going to be putting some real flowers on that wedding cake. So I'm going to deliver it this Thursday. The wedding is on Saturday, and we're gonna decorate it then. So I will tie that all in with today's video. And also I will probably be doing a video on that morning of that wedding also. So you'll probably see my son's wedding first. I'm going to be putting out my rehearsal video pretty soon, I think even today. And then the wedding will come next, and I will share the rest of this wedding coming up. I also have another wedding in August. Okay, so we're in July, but I have another wedding for the same family in August. So this family is a family that we've been friends for a very long time, and probably for maybe like over 18 some years. She's in our homeschool group. She has 13 kids, and 3 of her kids are getting married this year. So one of her daughters and two of her sons are getting married, and then her niece just got engaged. So I just did that cake, and that's the one that I shared on the community tab. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these cake videos. I did not do a video on the twins. I didn't have time to do that, but I did share it on my community tab. You guys can go over there and check out some of them cakes that I just recently made. Otherwise, we need to get finished here. I need to get this cake done. It is Wednesday afternoon and I have somewhere to go, so I need to get these cakes finished, at least crumb coated by tonight, put it in the fridge, make room, and get it done tomorrow. All right, so this recipe is going to be the same as the last one that I just shared with my son's wedding cake. So for the gluten-free one, we're not going to follow anything on the back of the box for this recipe. So you can do this recipe on any box that you find from Walmart or Sam's. I don't even know if Sam's sells cakes, but if you get a box cake from anywhere, you can use this recipe for any of them. All you're going to do is add a certain amount of ingredients to what the box cake already has. So we're not going to follow any of it. The only thing that I noticed differently with making this cake was the gluten-free one has a lot of oil in it, and I didn't add as much oil as the box says, only because I'm going to be using the recipe for the wedding box cake recipe. So we're just going to follow that. So what I ended up doing is going and getting gluten-free flour. With using this recipe, it makes the cake a little bit easier to stack when you're going to stack these wedding cakes or whatever. If you want to do a birth cake and you don't want to do the wedding box cake, you don't need to. You can just make it the way the back of the box says. For these cakes though, with the wedding, like stacking the cakes and stuff, this just works out so much nicer. Another thing that I noticed, and if anybody else can like comment on this, we were going to try to make this cake white, and everything that I've looked into with gluten-free, it was yellow. So what I ended up doing is not using my eggs, like my farm fresh eggs. I ended up using egg whites and hopes to have a white cake. It didn't work for this box cake mix, so it didn't work for this one. But if you can get a white box cake mix and just add the egg whites, then the cake will be white. But for this one, it was a yellow box cake. That was all I could find. Even if I were to make it homemade without the box, I still did not find a recipe to make it white. So if you guys know of one, put it in the comments down below. I would love to know how to make a white gluten-free wedding cake or a cake in general. So this is just all I did for this recipe. So I add 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/3 water, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup of sour cream, and 4 egg whites. So that is everything that I add to the box cake mix, and it turns out perfect every single time. It is a very easy and awesome recipe for making wedding cakes. So what I ended up doing is doing about 3 layers for the bottom layer, 3 for the middle layer, and then I also just did 1 big layer for the top layer. I have a bigger pan for that, so that's all I ended up doing and cutting it in thirds, and that worked out perfectly fine. So I did have a comment on one of my other videos of me using doubles for stacking my cakes. I know that I could use another form of straws, or I forget the name of them. I'll put the name on the bottom of the screen if you guys are interested, but you can use straws and stuff for stacking, and that's exactly what I need to do. And I didn't have that on hand for my son's wedding cake and some of the other ones. I just didn't have that on hand, and I actually didn't really know about it until I started watching more videos on cakes and noticed that other people were using something different. So I'm just used to using the doubles with stacking cakes, so maybe I'll have to invest in some of these cake straws and use that instead. But so what I ended up doing for these cakes is just filling them as much as maybe like 3/4 full and that worked out pretty good. I did mention that I didn't have enough cake belts to use on my pans for the cakes to turn out flat on top. I ended up getting a gift from my husband that was more cake belts and also a turntable. That I got after this video, so you won't be seeing me using any of my new stuff. Maybe in some other videos I can pull out my new stuff that he just got me, and I will share that with you at another time. Evelyn decided she wanted to help make the next couple layers of the cake. So we're going to skip forward to that, and Evelyn's going to help out today. is how the cake was when I dropped it off the night before, and then this is what it looked like the next day because someone took it from that bottom shelf and put it up on a top shelf, and you can see that the box was kind of pushed in on the side, so we lost some frosting there. But I was able to kind of like get things back in order, but the kitchen in there was hot. The building is air conditioned, but for some reason the kitchen just was hot that day. And every time that I went to go, you can tell right here, like I went to go fix whatever happened, you could see that the frosting just was coming off as I was wiping it. So it was kind of a little nerve-wracking trying to get that done, but I was able to get the flowers on and everything decorated. I tried to go as fast as I could to get the cake done and be able to put it back in the fridge before I put it out. And what I ended up doing is putting it in a freezer, and that helped with just cooling it down a little bit before I put it out, and didn't have to worry about it. But I'm gonna put it on the flowers here, and there was in a little bit I show me putting the flowers on in the cooler just because it was just so warm in there. So I'm just gonna put all the flowers on top. She gave me a picture of what she was thinking for the wedding cake. She had the fresh flowers that came in that morning, and I was able to just kind of take it apart and take the flowers apart because they were in like little bundles. I wasn't quite sure how the flowers were gonna come because this is my first time putting fresh flowers on a cake, and I thought that they had to wrap the stem of them, but they didn't. So I just ended up just using them the way they were, and I think it turned out fine. The only time that things were terrible was when we put the cake out in the area where all the desserts were. It was maybe like, I don't know, I want to say like maybe 40 minutes into the wedding, and no, maybe not even that long, but when they were going to cut into it, part of the side of the frosting was kind of coming off. It just was crazy warm in there, but it held up for what we needed it to, and I think it ended up turning out really, really nice. So I'm just going to continue here putting on flowers, and you can watch the rest and see how it turns out.